Hey everybody, thanks for watching Be Better Golf channel. Click the subscribe button. We're doing a little live broadcast now. This is mainly to be used to be run forever. We are going to be interacting with you guys live a little bit. If you want to be in on these live broadcasts, you have to hit the little post notifications, which is the bell below. So be subscribed, click post notifications, and let's go. I wanted to talk to Tony today. Tony is in Mississippi at Mississippi State University right now. Hi, Tony.
Hey, guys. Hey, Brendan. How's it going?
Tony and I are doing this live broadcast because I had some questions for him and also to let you guys know about our upcoming Florida Golf School on March 17th and 18th in Orlando, Florida. There's only 2 spots left. So and they will fill up before then. So to get you guys in, I'm hoping to, we're even considering doing another one in Florida that very same week. So just stay connected with bebettergolf.net/school, and you'll see all the live up-to-date info about the openings, and whatever's on that page is open. And feel free to email Tony at tonyluczak@gmail.com or me, contact bebettergolf@gmail.com. Let you know all the details, anything you guys would like to know. And Tony, tell us a little bit about the facility that we're having it at, how that kind of came about, and the gospel.
Well, I've known Mike Bender since a long time ago. We'll just put it that way. It was great to learn underneath him. He gave me lessons as I was trying to play on the mini tours and stuff. And that's really where I kind of fell in love with teaching, when I first met with him and really just got to hang out with Mac O'Grady and just learn a lot. And now Mike's place, where he's at, is great. He's got probably about 15, 20 stations on the left side. He's got this great short game wedge area. And what they built is you can also hit off different lies on this one box, but they got these plates, these concrete plates out in the range. And they got the tour scores out there about how many shots it takes for you to hit different distances and have the ball hit off the concrete plates. It's very humbling. My wedge game really is not good when I kind of compare it to the tour players out there. And then what Mike has also built is obviously an indoor studio. He's got a fitness center. He's got a lounge right there. And on the other side of the building, he's got some covered stalls with some of his Megsa equipment there. And then they got a whole chipping, kind of a pitching area, putting green behind the range there. So it's really a great facility to really get your technique down from a full swing, wedge game, putting, fitness, the whole thing. It's a great place. Really excited about having it at school there.
So you're saying on the wedge range that I'll just drop this, and it became famous when Zach Johnson and Mike were working on Zach's wedge game before Zach won the Masters by laying up on all the par 5s. But on the wedge range, okay, that I didn't understand. There's concrete plates that you're trying to hit the ball too, so it's real obvious whether you hit it or not.
Exactly. So you can't really cheat. You know, you could be close, but that's obviously not part of the contest.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, you and I will have to do a video out there about I guess our pitching ability.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a couple rounds of practice beforehand. I can tell you that right now. You've been playing more golf than I have.
Okay, excuses are well duly noted. Okay, so today's video, I think you guys are going to like. It's something that I've been looking forward to doing. I'll just set it up a little bit. Just to wrap up the school thing, contact us. bebettergolf.net/school, all the info you need. So today's video is going to be all about, Tony, when I was on having a golf discussion with this older guy that is kind of one of the locals at my golf course near here. And he was telling me something about the golf swing, and then I said, but you never see that. He was telling me to do something. It was a feel kind of thing. I was like, but you never see that in slow-mo or anything. You never see that. And he said, you're confusing what happens with what to do. And I really thought that moment, and then also meeting you and a lot of the instructors in the channel, has been a huge revelation for me that before I was more like, I think a lot of golfers using kind of like a slow motion swing, looking at it from this kind of third person point of view and trying to you know, put my feels into how to build my golf swing based on watching slow motion swings. What do you think about that phrase? And also kind of how is that similar to a philosophy you have about getting better?
Well, Brendan, at first we're running into some technical difficulties, so I didn't quite get all that. So if you could maybe paraphrase what the question is real short, just because you're bleeping in and out. Technical difficulties here in Mississippi.
Okay, I think YouTube is seeing it okay. But basically, when it comes to what happens and what to do, what is the difference in golf swing? We see a lot of data-driven what happens, but really, what is there to do?
Well, and that's a great point, because I think it's easy, and I'm going to use this kind of little story. My wife can tell you what a good golf swing looks like and what a bad golf swing looks like. And she doesn't play golf. She's just been around me for so long. She knows what looks good. And she'll look at my swing and she goes, something doesn't look right. Or, hey, it looks great. But if I ask her, I said, well, what is it that you don't like, or what doesn't look right? She goes, I don't know. So really, anyone with a video camera, phones now, can see with what a swing looks like, and we can slow things down. But really, when you start looking at the neuromotor control about how we take intent and motor programs and make that motion happen, right now, we can't measure that. We can measure some EEG. We can measure some moments before there's movement. We can measure EMG on the muscle activation. But there's not a clear cut, hey, if I do this, this is what's going to happen. The body is just so complex right now. So we can't just say, hey, think of this and do this kinematically. And if you change these positions, you're automatically going to hit the ball well, because we just don't process our movement patterns that way. So that's the art, in a sense, of understanding how the body moves, how the mind thinks, how that whole neuromotor program works together to create the result we want. That's the reason why, to me, ball flight's really important. Or if you're indoors, we got to then have some launch monitor. I love the Foresight and HMT, because we get club head data. So we know what the club's doing to the ball. We can kind of then piece that back together to create changes. So position practice doesn't work. Just from a neuromotor standpoint, there's no correlation physically to a certain position and then having to hit a golf ball. Now, some of the slow-mo stuff we're looking into on slow motion training, that may, and we can talk more about that later too.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to do a screen share here, Tony, because I think when people and this should work out okay. Just let me hide that.
Okay, we're getting some stuff. Okay, what happens and what to do? Exactly.
So let's just start kind of at the beginning. So like if I say grip, that'd be I would think something to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, what we do to place our hands on the club.
Exactly. So I'm just gonna. So things like grip. What else, Tony? Stance. Alignment, right?
Okay, I'm sorry that we got technical problems on that. So grip, stance, alignment, what to do. Yeah, but now what happens is aspect of some of that is, well, what type of shot are you going to hit?
Yeah.
Because what's the lie of the ball? What's the lie of the terrain of the golf course that's going to create of what we have to do? So that's the complexity which is really nice doing it this way.
Okay, and then let's going further into the swing now. Let's talk about some of the most searched golf terms. So like something like lag, would you think that that's something to do or something that happens?
Something that happens. Completely something that happens.
Why so?
Well, it's a result. It's a result of other things that we do. Then that happens. That happens.
Okay. What about
go ahead.
Go no, go ahead.
So if and I'll use throwing a ball. Have you ever heard, and I know we both like baseball, so have you ever tried to create lag while throwing a baseball?
Yeah, actually, I've seen the slow motion pictures of like Randy Johnson and others where their elbow looks totally
Oh,
backwards.
yes.
Exactly. So I actually, when I was I had a bet with my friends if I could break 80 miles an hour at speed pitch at Veterans Stadium, 12 years ago. And
Okay.
one of the things I used to try to do was snap my wrist, snap my hand backwards to get into that position, hoping that it would sling it forwards. And it made my elbow hurt a lot, but it did not make me throw it faster.
Yeah, so that lag that we see in those pitching motions, which is phenomenal, external rotation, um, that's an effect of arm acceleration going forward. So we have the mass of the ball as I'm going forward, that just pulls it back because we have acceleration of some other limb segments. So that's where definitely we would never try to hold our lag and to throw a ball, trying to create more distance, in the throw. So that's definitely what happens.
Yeah, and I've noticed that in my swing, whenever I've tried to get more lag, it ends up breaking down more. Kind of like, I don't know, somehow my arms slow down, and then I get less lag when I try to get more lag.
Yeah, and I've always used the batting analogy. So if I try to like if you got a batter coming in and all of a sudden he decides to check his swing, so he doesn't want that pitch, he creates a lot of lag. If you measure those angles, that bat, we're not breaking the wrist. That bat's staying back. We're creating a lot of lag. But is there any bat speed?
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Tony, what about like people always say they really like when they're looking at swings on TV of the hips being very open at impact. Where would you put like body rotation and like how much open you are at impact? If I was gonna put like just
I have to put that into, yeah, I have to put that into what happens. And again, we're saying that the person doesn't have any strange habits that we're trying to change. So it's possible that you have some certain mechanics that we would want to tweak, but I'm going to say that's happened. Um, I, when we look at how little time there is in the golf swing on the way down, you got quarter of a second. Uh, you could intentionally try to open up your hips, but the question is that if you intentionally say that's what I want to do, how well does that really work? And when people put more effort into the golf swing, generally the ball doesn't go too well. And our effort in the golf swing is through muscular activation. So the more I put my body into rotating, doesn't necessarily mean that this swing is going to go any faster, because everyone will tell you that your best swings take the least amount of effort. So that means the muscle activation is being coordinated differently.
okay, what else can we? So then this golf swing is seeming a little bit more clear because there's a lot of like early extension and like so would the hips like staying back and kind of staying deep from the ball, would that be something to try to do, you think? Or would that even be a neither for you?
Well, here's the thing. We have a whole spectrum of golfers with habits. And let's say you have somebody that hooks the ball. Okay. Well, generally what happens is through impact, they're overusing forearm rotation. So we may want to have their body working a little bit more through impact versus now you take someone that slices and has limited range of motion. And if we gave them that same bit of information, it would totally make them worse. So we kind of have to balance out. I'm going to call that one, we'll call that one neither or both, depending on the circumstances of the individual.
Okay. What would be something that you would like to put onto your list of what to do?
I like, for me personally, is what to do with the back club in the backswing.
So what would you call that?
Let's call it swing trajectory in backswing, or backswing club head path and face. To me, that's where, because it moves slower, if I can create a good alignment up at the top, it simplifies what I have to do on the way down.
Right. So like that, backswing club control.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brendan. The technology is.
Sorry. Are you got me back again? I hit a button.
All right. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
I should be back.
Let's see. It went back and forth. So.
Okay.
There you are. I gotcha.
Okay. So like backswing club control.
Yes. Completely. To me, that's slow enough, and we can decide, be able to control where that club goes. So to me, let's simplify the backswing.
All right, and then on the down, and then what about, if I was to put in one of these lists, what about like shaft lean and impact? That's something that or like getting the arms more, forward, like the hands more forward, like something I was desperate to get, that pro looking shaft leaning and impact.
I would say that's something that we would want to do, because we need arm acceleration in order to pull the club through the ball. And we're going to need some body rotation through it. But the question is, if I'm in, generally what happens, and again, we're saying normal distribution type thing, and we're going to say that 60-70% of golfers are in the normal range. If by moving the arms faster, I'm going to move my body faster. No one's ever going to move the arms faster and try to freeze their body up. It just won't work. So that's the reason why the body rotation is what happens, but the arm acceleration is what we need to do to create that look.
Okay, so then we have kind of the arms and the body split on two different lists here. Arm acceleration on our what to do list, and body rotation and body acceleration kind of on our what happens list. Is that right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say body acceleration is what happens completely. Because really, in order for us to hit the ball well, we want the forces directed, very specific to the type of shot we want to hit. And so I don't want forces in my hips pulling myself up and left too much, because that's pulling the club up away from the ball. And I'm not referring to parametric acceleration, but I'm just saying that we're talking about forces of the body pulling the whole club offline.
What is a golf term that you hear people talking about, students and stuff talking about a lot, that you think would be on the left side, the what happens list, and so
using the ground, getting force from the ground.
We hear ground force reaction as a buzzword.
Ground reaction forces. Everyone thinks that we get a force from the ground. We use the ground as friction. We use the ground for resistance. But we're only going to get as much force utilizing the ground, because it's a solid surface, of what we put into it. And that's the whole third law of Newton, for every action there's equal opposite reaction. So if I put more force down and we measure it on a force plate, we're going to see instantaneous force coming back up. And obviously with a force plate versus a pressure mat, forces can get in all three axes of motion, and we can get some rotation measurements out of that, where pressure is just a vertical factor. So when we start looking at it, is parallel force is actually more important, because that's the friction we have with the feet to the ground. So that's like our side to side. So if I was in a bunker and I tried to really torque my body, my feet would just totally get dispersed out. They would slip and slide because there's less friction. So, but I still put the same amount of force into it. It's just now that friction gone. So that's not necessarily, that's just the ground being stable. But if I don't move and I don't put much speed into the swing and into the club, we're not going to see much ground reaction force. And I met with this is some exciting news that I think I got granted permission today, and I've been trained on our Vicon motion capture system. I've been talking with Dr. Kwan about doing more golf research. So we'll have access in the next 6 to 8 months on force plate, motion capture, and EMG all synced up together. So basically, I got my Christmas present today on being able permission to use it as much as we need to. So now the problem is my class schedule is going to get away in front of or get in the way of my research time. So we'll really be able to dive more into this and be able to show people that, hey, if you don't move much and you don't put much motion into the club, we're not going to see much ground reaction force. It's just a reverse measurement. That's all.
Yeah. So the priority should be what you do to the golf club, not so much. Like, do you think it's reversed as far as a lot of people are thinking, if you do certain things to your body, then there'll be a resultant effect in the golf club, and you think it's the other way? People should put certain forces into the golf club, and then their body will react to that impetus? Or how do I put that?
Yeah, you kind of broke up there, but I think I got the idea. So to me, is because motor control is all about coordinating our limbs and environment to maintain center of balance. So if I want to, I don't have to tell a student. So if I want to just grab something off the table, I don't have to tell a student to lift their arm up and then accelerate. I'd have to tell a robot that, but the person sees something, goes and reaches for it. There's our eyes, and our perception is sometimes fools us. So and this is a funny, kind of funny test just to show this. And they've done this before, where all of a sudden you'll see like a 50-pound weight on the floor. And there's a big guy coming in, really struggling to get the weight up. And let's say it's 100 pounds or whatever. And all of a sudden they have the next person come in ready to lift that 100-pound weight up. And all of a sudden they go and pick it up, and it flings up over their head. Well, their perception is that that's a 100-pound weight, but in actuality, that was only a 2-pound weight, because it just, is a model. So our intent drives everything, and our perception drives everything. We didn't even have time to react to recognizing that the weight isn't what we thought it was. And there's been some interesting research on that. So to me, that drives more of moving the club is more important from a neuromotor perspective versus what we see in a kinematic perspective.
Yeah, it makes your brain kind of do backflips when somebody tricks you and they're like holding something really heavy. You think
exactly.
They hand it to you, they're like, "Oh, hold this," and then it almost makes you fall over when you're geared to accept that load. All right, so going through the swing, once we've gotten to arm acceleration, what is there left to do kind of through the swing, like through impact?
I like when I see golfers more going just kind of, that to me is where the body then starts driving through and having the feeling that they're really kind of punching and really getting their body to drive through it. And that keeps those joints moving. So if I'm going through it, and if I freeze up my lower body and I'm still trying to swing my arms, you can see here in the video, my shoulder joint doesn't move. But I get my arms accelerating, and then now I rotate my body through it, and guess what? I'm already through the shot. There's been no flippiness of the hand, so I know the club face is staying squared. I'm going to be more consistent. So that coordination between the arms and body is critical. And to me, what we've seen, and again, when you start breaking things down in milliseconds, that's the crazy thing to tie it up to perception and the feel. I feel my best shots where everything just goes right on through. You look at Henrik Stenson type of swing, even some of Rory iron shots. The drivers, sometimes he gets a little bit off. But when you put things at regular motion, you look at them, and no one looks like they stop at impact. There's no intentional deceleration to stop at impact. At least I don't see it. I don't know about you and what you've seen with some of the good players you've played with, but I know the tour players I've played with and have watched on TV and watched on the range, I don't see them stopping at impact.
Yeah, I don't. Is that something that you've heard of people trying to do, or?
Yeah, it's trying to decelerate, use deceleration. So
Oh,
one of the,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, so one of the things
Like
that,
pull the grip off pull the grip off of the club, like yank up on it and stuff.
yeah, yeah, and it does happen. We have coupling forces, and a lot of what the biomechanists are saying are 100% correct. Now I think the teachers then misapply it, but I don't want to go there. But when the average golfer then tries to like snap the hands and to they saw Rory's hips. Remember, Sports Science did this thing, and Rory's hips went backwards, and that's what gave him the speed of the club going through.
Yeah, well, my hips do that, and I'm not within 20 miles an hour, Rory. So
And we're working though. Hold on, you got up pretty what 115 club
yeah,
head speed?
yeah, 115. Yeah, but what I mean is that like that, and that was one of the things I was going to put on our list is my right foot kind of goes up and then kind of goes back down again. Not so much anymore, but still a little bit. Kind of that double stall, similar to what Rory does, is what I was saying.
Okay, yeah, that what and how it works. So this gets into this is definitely another what happens. So proximal to distal sequencing is something. Proximal to distal sequencing is some of the things that you'll hear a lot of the teachers talk about. And the original study was done 1970s, and unfortunately the name escapes me, but I have his paper. But when you look at the paper, and other papers have validated this, that this researcher has never said how that happens. And so everyone then has kind of said, well, it's kind of like a whip and you snap the whip. Well, unfortunately, the body's not designed like that. And some of that research has now shown that distal acceleration actually slows proximal joints down. So my take on Rory, for an example, is his arms are traveling so fast that the reaction is the hips going backwards. It's not that the hips go backwards to make the arms go forward, because again, based on the research, it's just showing us that it's a different type of acceleration from a different limb segment. So, and that's the thing that's challenging with people, because there's been so many years of it's been perceived this way, taught this way by the experts, but really when you start digging down in deeper into the research papers, you find out that that's just not the case.
Well, Tony, one thing though is that makes golf so difficult, and it makes it really hard when you're listening to pros give tips. I have heard in that same sports science thing, I have heard Rory say that he feels that his use of his lower body gives him more power than other golfers his size.
Yeah, I think there's things that play. So here's for I'll use this as my answer to that. When I hit my best shots, I feel my whole right side go through impact. I don't feel my arms. Why? My arm swing is so well developed, it's automatic now. So I'm going to feel something that isn't automatic, which is maybe my hip motion, which for me, I have a tendency to kind of stay centered to protect my back. And so I have to get in a little bit of extension and posting up. And that to me is a novel move. So I think that's what they feel. Because when we look back at Rory's kind of mishit into like when he lost the Augusta for the first time.
Yeah, snap hook.
Yeah, those hips were so far out in front. The only thing he could do at the bottom was slash his hands trying to catch the club up. Ball goes left. So now the reason why he feels the body is because his arm swing has gotten so much better and the club's not wobbling around as much. So that's what he's aware of through impact. But it's a miss, and this kind of steps into what a good player thinks about in reality versus what they say on TV and in the magazines, because they have to put content. There is no way that these guys think like that on the golf course and be able to play good golf. I can guarantee that it doesn't work. Great players don't think on the golf course. Great players don't think on the football field, on the basketball field. Tom Brady is not going up there thinking, okay, I got to set my body this way, set my arm this way, then step into it. There's no way you can process that information and be successful.
Well, hopefully he starts thinking that way this week so that he is a horrible loss. And one of the interesting things is we've seen Rory's driving get much better in the last 3 years. Kind of, I don't know if it's a causation correlation kind of thing, but his upper body has bulked up tremendously since, like, if you think of like the mop top Rory that lost the Masters, and you think about Rory that's playing in Dubai this week, his upper body is so much bigger. I got you. Okay, we're breaking up. It's about time to go anyway for me. I gotta think.
My AirPods went out.
Okay, I can hear you. Okay, guys. So we're going to I'll just let you finish that thought, Tony.
Actually, I will be posting this to my members of the Inside of the Golf Lab on video. They can tell me what muscles actually created hip rotation. And everyone thinks that what's the lower body that creates the rotation. When we take a look at muscle mass, that is not the case. When we take a look at good forward rotation. So there's different muscles. I think that's just that's the reason why if you look at like Rory now, you look at Greg Norman back in the day, big upper body, guys that were really good ball strikers and long and had great upper bodies, because that is where the speed is coming from.
Okay, Tony, I'm going to stop my screen share for a second. Just where am I? There I am. Okay, guys. So, yeah, that's better. Okay, guys. So join Tony and I.
Work on technology.
Yeah, it was working for a couple weeks, and now actually I think the broadcast is better than what you saw, Tony. Okay. Although since your AirPods fell out, it's a mess.
Sorry.
So join Tony and I in Florida in March. On March 17th and 18th, we are having the Be Better Golf Power School, and there's only 2 spots left. So send me an email, contactbebettergolf@gmail.com, and we'll give you all the details and get you set up. Tony, we're considering doing another school down there. Tell us a little bit about this potential opportunity.
Well, hopefully we get Orlando. That would be the Friday, Saturday before, so that's March 9th and 10th. And I'm going to kill Andre's last name, but Andre Pinay, Ramon, is an old friend of mine back from when I was teaching down in Sarasota, back with the tour in the 90s. He's director of instruction down there. And he's got his undergrad in psychology, he's got his master's in psychology, and he's really done some great research on how the mind works. And, from my experience with cognitive engineering and applied cognitive science, really seeing the opportunity of taking it from the range to the golf course. And that hopefully we can make both those schools go, because that's a really nice way to go from the range to the course and become a better golfer. So not only a better swing, but a better golfer.
We'll have more information for that for you guys coming up. Thanks for watching. Go to bebettergolf.net/school. Go to reactionarygolf.com, and definitely subscribe if you guys want to be involved in a future live broadcast where we can take your questions and other stuff like that. You got to click the post notifications button. All right. See you later. See you, Tony.